Sudden wealth, like sudden power, doesn't transform who you are. It reveals you. It magnifies your flaws, habits, and illusions. You may think you've gained freedom, but what you actually gain is gravity, the kind that pulls everyone around you into your orbit, hungry for a share of your new world. You might assume this scenario is rare. It isn't. Many who follow this channel have already experienced sudden windfalls, lottery wins, successful crypto investments, or skyrocketing startup equity. Statistically, more of you may encounter this too. Imagine overnight fortune smiling upon you. A small investment explodes beyond expectation. A side business suddenly generates serious revenue. Or an inheritance you never anticipated lands in your hands. It feels almost divine, doesn't it? Yet, Machiavelli warned, fortune is like a woman. She favors the bold, but abandons the unprepared. What seems like a blessing can quickly turn into a curse. Here's the harsh reality. Those who stumble into wealth rarely keep it. Studies of lottery winners and instant millionaires reveal a pattern. The faster they rise, the quicker they fall. Within a few years, over half face divorce, addiction, or bankruptcy. They lose friends, family, and peace of mind, long before the money is gone. Why? They confuse wealth with wisdom. They forget that maintaining power is far harder than acquiring it. Before celebrating, understand this: your greatest advantage is silence. The world urges you to broadcast success, to post, flaunt, and wear it like a crown. But those who announce their victories invite conquest. Exposure reveals weakness. The wise embrace what I call stealth wealth, owning everything while appearing to own nothing. Neighbors may think they live modestly, yet their influence reaches far beyond the visible. Machiavelli observed this in rulers who inherited kingdoms they didn't build. He who becomes prince through fortune alone will maintain power only as long as fortune favors him, he wrote. The same applies to money. Without the discipline that creates and preserves wealth, fortune erodes faster than you can spend it. History offers lessons. Cesare Borgia, one of Machiavelli's key examples, built an empire with cunning, charm, and calculated cruelty. But even he learned that visibility breeds enemies. Fortune attracted more betrayal than admiration. Centuries later, Jack Whittaker won $315 million in a Powerball draw, became a national celebrity, and paraded generosity. But the publicity brought devastation. His wife left, friends disappeared, and his granddaughter died from an overdose. Reflecting later, Whittaker admitted, "Wealth had been my curse. I wish I'd torn up that ticket." This lesson echoes Machiavelli. The first rule of sudden wealth is the same as surviving power. Conceal it. Hide your strength until it is secure. If fortune gives you gold, act as though it hasn't, not for humility, but for survival. In a world of visibility, anonymity is the ultimate armor. You may believe you can manage attention, filter requests, or control the narrative. Machiavelli would caution, men are naturally fickle and envious. Once they sense advantage, they will test your boundaries. Even those closest will compare their lives to yours, and comparison breeds resentment faster than greed. Even if silent, people sense change. Fortune has a scent, subtle upgrades, habits, or confidence shifts. Give it away. The world teaches display. Machiavelli teaches disguise. Your first confidant shouldn't be a friend or family member. It should be an attorney, a modern concierge, versed in trusts, foundations, and tax shields. Real wealth isn't owned, it's structured. So how do you protect yourself in a world that worships exposure? How do you live unseen while advancing boldly toward power? The answer lies in both silence and structure. Privacy isn't just about whom you tell, it's about how you build. This brings us to the second law of sudden fortune, the Machiavellian art of disguise. You can't just be wealthy. You must learn to move as the wealthy move, unseen, untouchable and protected behind legal structures that make your assets an invisible fortress. Machiavelli taught princes to build fortresses of strategy rather than stone. For you, that fortress is privacy disguised as normality. Machiavelli advised rulers to govern through intermediaries, the same principle that applies today. Power flows best through layers that conceal its source. In modern terms, this means trusts, holding companies, and discreet professionals. Discretion is not paranoia, it is power. Jack Whittaker shouted his fortune and was hollow. The Rothschilds quietly built theirs over centuries, letting influence speak louder than lifestyle. That is stealth wealth, the aristocracy of silence. Some will say, don't quit your job. I disagree, with nuance. The goal isn't job security but momentum. Work keeps the mind sharp and ego humble. Machiavelli warned idleness softens men. Sudden wealth is dangerous, not because of spending, but stagnation. Don't quit work entirely. Quit only what drains your spirit or limits autonomy. Leave on your terms as a statement of sovereignty. The key is rhythm. Stay active, building, useful. A working man is focused. An idle one is prey to impulse. The wealthiest men today, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, understand this. Bezos fortified one fortress, Amazon. Buffett spent decades mastering one craft. Investing, focus is power. Consistency, a weapon. Divided attention weakens defenses. Spreading fortune thin invites collapse. Once habits and identity stabilize, secure finances against hidden threats. Machiavelli warned rulers to address internal dangers first. A small disease is curable. Neglected, it becomes fatal. High-interest debt is a silent assassin. Even if accounts overflow, compound interest moves faster than greed. Crush high-interest debt before investing. A 20% rate is effectively a guaranteed loss. Assess other liabilities. Eliminate what undermines wealth. Retain what costs little and generates more elsewhere. This isn't frugality, it's strategy. Allies and enemies. The psychology of giving and control. Debt elimination does more than clean your balance sheet. It restores psychological peace. Without that noise, you think like a sovereign, not a servant. Yet even with a fortress intact and debt slain, the greatest threat remains emotion. Specifically, the emotions of others. Wealth attracts opportunity, but it also awakens hunger in those closest, testing you in ways numbers never can. When you rise suddenly, they tell themselves stories. You owe me. You were lucky. You wouldn't have made it without me. Their reasoning is emotional, not rational. Envy doesn't announce itself. It whispers. Once your fortress is built and debt silenced, a new challenge begins. The war of emotion. Machiavelli observed that men are more likely to offend someone who seeks to be loved than someone who seeks to be feared. In wealth, danger rarely comes from enemies. It comes from friends, relatives, and partners who feel entitled to your fortune. The fifth law of sudden wealth. Never lend money to friends or family. Lending turns relationships into transactions. If they fail to repay, resentment grows. If they succeed, they feel ownership. Either way, you lose. Machiavelli warned princes never to give what they could not reclaim without hatred. The same applies to money. People who believe your resources are limitless will test your limits. A small loan, a bridge payment, or a business favor. Refuse once, and you become the villain. Agree once, and you become the bank. The solution, strategic compassion. If someone genuinely needs help, medical emergencies or tragedies, give freely, but only once, and frame it as a gift, not a loan. Set a clear boundary. They never ask again. This preserves generosity without submission and strengthens the relationship. Machiavelli's logic of mercy applies. Better to inflict a single harm than let it linger. Decide once, be clear, and move. Modern examples show the cost of unchecked generosity. Athletes, rising from poverty, often lose everything. Not to poor investments, but because they support dozens of dependents. Mike Tyson, who earned over $300 million, declared bankruptcy within a decade. Wealth exposes truth. Who values you and who values what you provide. Machiavelli would call this natural. Loyalty lasts only as long as benefit exists. Your power must rest on boundaries, not affection. Steel without control breaks. Control without heart corrode the trick. Act like the sun, warm from a distance, untouchable up close. Consider a California family that won a massive lottery jackpot. They bought a mansion, cars, private schooling, and designer goods. 2 years later, they sold the house at half its price. Their wealth didn't vanish. It was eaten by debt, taxes, and poor choices. They broke the golden rule of the prince. Your capital is your kingdom. Protect it. Live off its borders, not its heart. Once generosity is mastered, spending becomes the next temptation. More men fall here than on any battlefield. The sixth law: never consume the principle, only the yield. The rich treat money like farmland, harvesting without destroying the soil. The poor treat it like firewood, burning through their foundation for warmth. Practically, live off the income your fortune generates, not the capital itself. Machiavelli advised rulers to maintain reserves. Fortune changes. Calculate the income you need, multiply by 25, and that's your invisible throne. Need $200,000 a year, protect $5 million, even if you haven't reached it. Start thinking like a ruler. Every dollar kept growing multiplies your time, calm, and options. The goal is leverage, not luxury. The prince's portfolio, building a fortress that earns forever. Wealth without system is chaos. Treat investing as governance. You are the architect of your own state. Every dollar is a soldier, every market a battlefield. Deploy recklessly, and you lose both capital and command. Organize them into divisions, each with a role, and build an empire that survives recessions, wars, and time. Once your fortune stands independently, deployment becomes crucial. The final law of fortune: build a portfolio worthy of a prince, diverse, protected, and enduring. Guarded wealth multiplies quietly, without exposing you to chaos or risk. Modern elites understand this. True wealth is sovereignty. Kings move through kingdoms deliberately. The 1% move through markets the same way. A framework for a modern prince. Equity: allocate a significant portion to diversified stocks or index funds. Your engine of growth. Long-term averages approach 9%, reflecting innovation, compounding, and human ambition. Bonds: these are your diplomats, yielding 4 to 5%, preserving capital during turmoil. Prudence balances aggression with defense. Real estate: tangible property, anchors your empire. Well-chosen estates produce income and appreciation. Speculative assets: small allocations, 5 to 10%, to crypto or other high-risk ventures. Act as scouts. Bold, but not reckless. Combined, these divisions create a kingdom generating wealth from every side. Historically, such a structure could return 6 to 7% annually, $5 million, yielding $300,000 in income. Your freedom number. Markets fluctuate. Fortune is unpredictable. The goal: endurance, not excitement. Renaissance bankers, like the Medici, understood this. They diversified across assets, nations, and generations. Liquidity: cash or high-yield savings form your reserve army. Even 4–5% yield generates steady, secure, passive income. Even princes need pleasure. Allocate a small sum as fun money, indulging wisely in joy, not status. Machiavelli valued appearances only when they served power. Tasteful indulgence strengthens identity. Reckless luxury weakens command. Real wealth is choosing how to spend your time, not flaunting your spending. Finally, look beyond yourself. Money's ultimate purpose is legacy. Invest in ideas, people, and causes that outlive you. Let fortune be protection and philosophy, evidence that power, tempered by wisdom, becomes virtue. Wealth is silence, not noise. Leverage, not excess. If you wish to learn step by step how to build this fortress from scratch, using the same principles of power and patience, the next lesson awaits. You know where to find it. In Machiavelli's words, it is better to act and repent than not act and regret. Act with foresight, build your fortress, guard it, grow it, and never reveal where your crown truly lies.